Thanks everyone for coming along today. The agenda for today's meeting is to just go over our key takeaways and favorite sessions that we found from the AWS Summit. And then at the end, we'll go through a subset of questions that we commonly see in the solution architect exam and see how you stack up against the group. So we are recording today's session, and as always, we'd love your feedback. You can scan the code on the screen or follow the link there, which is also displayed. We're also always looking for people in the community who want to present, whether it's a new product that you've created or just a new AWS service that you've been using. So if you email us at hello+meetup@polarseven.com, we can have a chat and see if we can get you in front of the group. So just going over again, we'll be going through the summit highlights, key takeaways, and at the end we'll go through some AWS questions to test your knowledge. I think one of the key benefits, or one of the things we loved most at PolarSeven at the most recent AWS Summit, was the use of AWS jams. So not sure if anyone's had the chance to do an AWS jam, but really they're an immersive engagement that encourages you to level up your AWS skills through the use of hands-on real-world scenarios. So you can work as a team. There's varying levels of difficulty, and you can get your hands dirty with AWS and really test your abilities, or just to try something new. So if you didn't get the chance to do an AWS jam, we are actually looking at collaborating with Amazon to host one at one of our next AWS meetups. And I wanted to just do a quick poll to gauge whether you'd like to do a beginner, intermediate, or advanced jam if we were to do one. So I'll just launch that poll now. I'll just give it another 10 seconds. Okay. So predominantly people are looking at doing an intermediate one, and what we can do is once we've done one, we can look at doing another one either later on in the year, potentially doing an advanced one later on in the year. But I'll send some information about this. We think it'll be a great opportunity to get the community working together to solve some AWS problems. You can use the chat box to the right, or also ask any questions in the Q&A throughout the session, and we'll do our best to answer any questions either as they come up or at the end. Great. So the theme of the summit was accelerate. Amazon are moving towards containers and serverless approach. AWS is the #1 place for you guys to run containers. Around 80% of all containers in the cloud are currently run on AWS, and they're servicing customers such as Samsung, Expedia, GoDaddy. And it's really an enterprise system that AWS has spent a whole lot of time on, and we see a lot of our customers moving towards a containerized approach. Another key takeout from the keynote was the climate pledge that Amazon is committed to. So they want to build a sustainable business for their customers and the planet. And in 2019, they co-founded the Climate Pledge, which is a commitment to be net zero carbon across the business by 2040, which is a whole 10 years ahead of the Paris Agreement. So we definitely back that as well. It's a very important topic that we feel is necessary moving forward. A couple of other exciting announcements is the Melbourne region. So within, I think, the second half of 2022, there should be 3 availabilities running in Melbourne, which for a lot of customers, especially government, it's great to have that split of data security without needing to leave the country. Also, some edge locations in Auckland have been announced. So 2 new edge locations, which will provide as much as 50% reduction in latency. So yeah, lots of new stuff coming in the next year, and I'll throw it over now to Abhinav, who's going to take us through the key takeouts from a couple of his favorite sessions. Thanks, Abhi.
Thanks, Jackson. Thanks so much. Hey, everyone. I'm Abhinav, from cloud engineer from PolarSeven consulting team. I'm responsible for implementation and delivery of the projects. I've been helping our customers of all sizes to build and scale the solutions on AWS. I specialize in container-based and serverless solutions. I would like to summarize the presentation, Harness the Power of Data with AWS Analytics by Melody Young, Senior Analytics Solutions Architect at AWS. During the presentation, she described various AWS services used to implement data analytics solutions. As you all know, data is growing exponentially and coming from different sources. It sits behind every aspect of the business and decisions. It is used by a variety of applications. According to Gartner, 63% of CEOs see data as the critical decision maker in moving forward. So data is spread out and has no single source. There is a need of centralized data store. We call it data lake. AWS provide many services which help to build the scalable data lake. S3 is the most popular choice for data lake because of unmatched durability, availability, and scalability. S3 Select retrieves a subset of data leading to queries that run up to 400% faster and intelligent tiering that saves up 40% of the costs. The seamless data movement and analytics is powered by Athena, EMR, Elasticsearch, Kinesis, and Redshift. Activities which include all these data movement are ETL, visual data preparation, data replication, data warehousing, and querying data. All these can be powered by AWS services. To leverage machine learning, AWS SageMaker is used. AWS Glue can be used to integrate data faster, on scale, and in serverless fashion. As visualizing data is ideal for any business, AWS QuickSight can be integrated with all these services for reporting. We at PolarSeven utilize this concept of data lake to monitor data coming from different AWS accounts to run analytics that help us to make better decisions with regards to the infrastructure. The trusted advisor data from the master account. So if you see the diagram, the trusted advisor data from the master organizational account is downloaded in the form of JSON file, which we upload to S3, which in turn triggers a pipeline that uses Lambda and Glue to pass the data and Athena to query the data. Then QuickSight is used to visualize the data in form of graphs and charts. It really helped us in making decisions related to security, cost, performance, and tolerance. This is it from this session. So here's another session. This is one of my favorite sessions at AWS, computer vision at the edge. During the presentation, Adam described various services used to implement computer vision solutions on AWS. Computer vision applications are used in medical diagnostics, safety, media, and retail. In AWS, computer vision applications are powered by Amazon Rekognition, Anorma, Lookout, and SageMaker. Custom computer vision models can be built and trained on AWS. There were some challenges around running these applications where internet connection is not stable and have other connectivity issues. But AWS IoT Greengrass solved all these issues and run AWS small infrastructure on the devices that don't have any connectivity. IoT Greengrass can run virtually anywhere. And also, machine learning model can be deployed on the edge using SageMaker and IoT Greengrass working together with each other. SageMaker provides a fully managed, secure, and distributed training service. At PolarSeven, we are working on a proof of concept for one of our clients who wanted to deploy this solution in remote places where internet connectivity is not that good. This slide shows the screenshot of the demo for the real-time social distancing application built totally using AWS services. And the other one is for safe zone exclusion. And this service is also built totally on AWS. This is it from this session. I'll pass it on to Rajiv.
Yep, thanks, Abhi. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rajiv. I'm in the PolarSeven consulting team, and I work on projects with government agencies and private clients and help them build, migrate, and modernize their workloads to AWS Cloud. Today's session, I wanted to discuss about AWS Nitro Enclaves by Stefan. The key takeaways from this session is AWS Nitro Enclaves, to recap, is an Amazon EC2 feature which extends the security and isolation characteristics of AWS Nitro system, and it provides a trusted execution environment called Enclave. So Nitro Enclave uses the Nitro hypervisor technology that provides CPU and memory isolation for EC2 instances in order to isolate the vCPUs and memory for an enclave from a parent instance. So the Nitro hypervisor basically ensures that the parent instance has no access to the isolated vCPUs and memory of the enclave. So the key terminologies used is Nitro controller and Nitro security chips. Nitro controller and Nitro security chips, all other Nitro cards implemented to basically maintain the hardware root of trust. So Nitro controller coordinates with all other Nitro cards, the server hypervisor, and the Nitro security chip to implement the hardware root of trust. So the security chips is integrated with the motherboard. It protects the hardware resource and it blocks all NVRAM write access and implements the hardware root of trust. It basically uses a lockdown security model which prohibits all administrative access. So there is a CLI tool which is used to deploy and create Nitro Enclave. It's called AWS Nitro Enclave CLI. That can be installed to create, manage, and terminate enclaves. It's very easy to create an enclave by just passing the --enclave -options argument while launching the Nitro Enclave EC2 instance. The Nitro Enclave basically uses a vSOC local communication only, which is which basically is a channel between the parent instance and the enclave, and it is the only channel of communication that an enclave can use to interact with external services. Enclaves, by design, they don't have any persistent storage, no interactive access, or external networking. Nitro Enclave also supports cryptographic attestation. It provides a way to establish a trust in the enclave's identity and a state by using a series of measurement. It uses SHA-384 hash consisting of platform configuration registers called PCRs that are unique only to the enclave. This allows us to verify an enclave's identity and ensure that only authorized code is running inside it. Yeah, the next topic I wanted to discuss on Summit, which I really liked, was containerization for .NET application on AWS and how easy it is to containerize a legacy Windows application. It was presented by Srivanta, a senior architect from AWS. Yeah, the key takeaways are just to recap, as you all know, that containers provide a standard way to package your application code, configuration, dependencies into a single object, and containers share an operating system installed on server and run as a resource isolated process. App2 Container helps customer transform their legacy .NET full framework application and move them into containers and .NET Core, and you can easily deploy them on ECS or EKS as a managed service in AWS. During the session, Srivant also explored and explained about .NET Porting Assistant on how that can be used to convert a .NET full framework to a .NET Core. Some of the benefits of using app-to-container include like legacy application containerization with minimal efforts, containerization at scale, best practices for containerization. Yep. And app-to-container CLI is another tool which needs to be installed to inventory, analyze, and extract the application, the legacy app which is running on your Windows system. During the demo, Srivanta also demoed on a legacy app which was running on Windows 2012 source machine. So he used this CLI command, inventory, analyze, and extract, to create a website ID and output that as a JSON file. And that JSON file was editable, where we can change the base image and also parameterize. He created a zip file out of that website artifact. And also he demonstrated that the Windows Server 2012 doesn't support containerization. So he moved that website zip file which he created to a 2019. And from there he built the container image. So to create the container image itself, we used app-to-container, Containerise, with the archive file as the application ID. And we deploy the container to ECS and EKS with the correct amount of memory and CPU. So app-to-container is basically used to move any .NET legacy application and easily deploy them to any managed services within the AWS on ECS or EKS, and it's also platform independent, can be deployed in any other platform. I'll pass it on to, yep, so this is a high-level diagram of the deployment source, which is on-prem, and also EC2 instance in other clouds where they're running IIS server, ASP.NET, and other different web applications, which can be packaged as a container image as Docker, and then using app-to-container, and then push to deployment targets as ECS or EKS, initially storing that in the Elastic Container Registry, and use the code pipeline, code build and code deploy pipeline management service to deploy your image. Yep, thanks. I'll pass it on to Stefano, my colleague.
Thanks, Rajiv. Thanks, Rajiv. Hi, everyone. I'm Stefano Lubis. I work for PolarSeven as a cloud support engineer, and I'm part of the management team looking after many of our clients. And I'm also looking into optimizations and automations of tasks. I'm going to talk to you about selecting AWS services to simplify file storage architecture. This presentation, which I found quite interesting, was from Wali Akbari, storage specialist solution architect at AWS. So I'm going to tell you my highlights of that presentation from my point of view. That was quite interesting. So in general, talking about data storage, we know that the size of data is growing constantly, and some common challenges come with the growth of data. In general, management can become quite complicated, and customers want to keep costs down, but they also want to have a solution which would be hopefully fast performing, but also highly available and scalable as requirements change. And last but not least, it needs to be secure with controlled access and encryption. So everybody pretty much needs some form of storage, but also everyone's got different requirements for it. So there are plenty of storage options in AWS, ranging from relational databases to analytics, optimized solutions like Redshift or Kinesis. And there's also file and object storage coming in many different flavors. On this occasion, we're focusing just on simple file storage solutions. And now these solutions can be simplified. So to better explain the options available, there are 3 case usage scenarios, which I thought that simplifies the situation. And they were presented, so it makes it easier to understand the differences in the options. So in first case, there was a user called Joe, and Joe has a particular focus on performance combined with a very high volume of data stored, talking about petabytes of data, and he uses Lustre as a distributed file system, which is a very popular option. The choice here is to use AWS FSx for Lustre, and this can be used either standalone or linked with S3. So the accelerated file system that results can be used when needed. For example, when analytics are run on the system. In this case, is acting as a high performing file cache. The scalability is provided by the underlying S3 storage, and FSx for Lustre also offers multi-AZ setups, which provides high availability. And this is all without the user needing to be a storage expert, as the system basically takes care of the management of the storage, which is a great option. Okay, in the second case, different situation, the user called Sophia needs a solution that can integrate with Linux server instances, containers, and AWS Lambda. And again, needs to be scalable, highly available, all this cost effectively, and again, without being a storage expert. So in this case, AWS Elastic File System, EFS, is the best solution. And the performance scales together with the data growth, provides high availability and flexibility. So from this point of view, EFS is probably the most flexible option in this case, a system with the majority of file storage needs, and is also particularly suited in the lift and shift migrations. And it also integrates with ECS and Lambda. And then we got a third case scenario, last example. Another user called Ahmed works on a migration of many Windows file storage servers. And in this situation, focusing on Windows, also high performance is required, but at the same time, it needs to be simple, a simple solution. So to keep re-engineering to a minimum, and also the requirement is to leverage the existing Active Directory, which is a very common scenario with customers. In this case, the option is Amazon FSx for Windows File Server. And this is something that some of our customers use. It's very popular. It is a fully managed service, highly available, and it's built internally on Windows Server and integrates with Active Directory, and also comes with automatic backups, which makes it really practical. And in terms of costs, there are two options, two layers available in this. And you can have SSD storage for high performance situations, or HDD, which is a cheaper option if you have less demanding basic storage options, such as home directories and user shares, for example. And also setting up FSx for Windows File Server is extremely easy and can be done in minutes. And also performance, once again, scales up as the amount of data grows. So these three user cases scenarios, I guess, would probably cover most of the nowadays user cases. And just to recap, I mentioned the following three cases with associated solutions. So the first one was FSx for Lustre for high performance distributed storage. The second one is Amazon EFS, Elastic File System for Linux and general purpose file storage requirements. And the last one is Amazon FSx for Windows File Server. And of course, the good thing is you can try them all on AWS. It's very easy to set them up and try them out. And you'll probably be surprised how easy they are to set up. And so this was my review. Thank you for your time.
Great, thanks a lot, guys. So what we're going to do now, and sorry, I'm just quickly stopping the screen share for a second, but we're going to go through around 10 different questions, which we commonly see in the solution architect exam. So if you wanted to just list out what your answers are and what score you get at the end, and we'll see if you wanted to provide that information, you can benchmark yourself against the rest of the people on the call. But if you don't feel comfortable, you just don't answer the poll of what your score was. So I'll just go through the first one. Okay. So the first question, and we'll go through them sequentially. So if you just want to do one by one, and then we can look at the responses at the end. So the first one, what deployment method involves creating 2 identical production instances and switching over traffic to the live environment? Can people see that poll as well? Yeah, okay, great. So I'm not sure if people are able to see this one. Could you just let me know in the chat if you can't see the poll? Sorry, I'm not sure if the technical issues on my side or if people are not submitting their answers. So maybe I will quickly try ending the poll and see if we can restart that one. Panelists should now be able to vote. So just going over question 1 again, if people can see that, just select the answer, I guess, that's you think is correct. Is that working for you guys on the panel team?
Yep.
Right, okay, so it's not showing that anyone's actually answering them. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of go through each of them, give 30 seconds, and if you can just list or mark down the ones that you get correct. So the correct response for the first one is blue-green deployment. So going to the second one, which AWS tool allows you to create AWS accounts with pre-configured security baselines and configuration options? So it's the Account Factory, Organizations, CloudFormation, SSO, or StackSets. Give everyone 30 seconds. Great. So the correct response for this one was AWS Account Factory, which is a tool that is found within the Control Tower service. So just give yourself a mark if you got that correct, and I'll move on to the next one. So an insurance company is creating an application which will perform analytics in near real time on huge data sets in the petabyte or terabyte range. So which storage option accommodates petabyte scale data and also allows fast querying of that data? So we've got Redshift, Elasticache, DynamoDB, RDS, Athena, and S3. Give it another 15 seconds. So the correct response for question 3 was Redshift, which is a database used for querying very large amounts of data. So 4, you suspect that one of your AWS services your company is using has gone down. How can you check on the status of this service? And I'll give 20 seconds for this one. Okay, so the correct response would be the AWS Personal Health Dashboard, which is D. Now coming to number 5, your company has gotten back results from an audit, and one of the mandates from the audit is the application hosted on EC2 must encrypt the data before writing the data to storage. Which service could you use to meet this requirement? So that's EBS encryption, AWS Cloud HSM, AWS KMS, or security token service. Great. So for number 5, the correct response to encrypt the data would be to use AWS KMS, or Key Management Service from Amazon. Going on to 6, so a bit more of a cost-related question. So AWS cost management encompasses a number of services to help you organize, control, and optimize your costs and usage. So which of the following cost management related tools gives you the ability to set alerts when costs are exceeded? So we've got the cost and usage report, AWS budgets, reserved instance reporting, or AWS Cost Explorer. I'll just give it another 10 seconds for this one. And the correct response would be B, AWS budgets. So for question 7, your company security team has planned to do penetration testing on EC2. So which policy would provide information on performing penetration testing on your EC2 instances? So I'll give people 10 seconds to do that one. And the correct response for that is C, customer service policy for penetration testing. So number 8, a consultant is hired by a small company and begins working with VPC and launching EC2 instances within the VPC. So the initial instances will be placed in a public subnet, and which of the following statements is true regarding the security groups that they would launch? So A being security groups act at the subnet level, not the instance. B being security groups are stateless. C, security groups act at VPC, not the instance level. Then D, security groups act at the instance level and not the subnet level. So the correct response there would be D, which is that they act at the instance level and not the subnet. So question 9. several S3 buckets have been deleted and a few EC2 instances have been terminated. Which AWS service can you use to determine who took these actions? So A would be AWS CloudTrail, B would be Trusted Advisor, C would be Inspector, and D would be CloudWatch. I'll give another 10 seconds for that one. Great. So AWS CloudTrail would commonly be used. CloudWatch kind of gives metrics on the state of instances and allows you to monitor an alarm, whereas CloudTrail can track API actions and different user activity within the account. And lastly, so question 10, which AWS service can help you optimize your environment by giving recommendations to reduce costs, increase security, and improve performance? So there's organizations as A, AWS optimizations as B, AWS Inspector as C, and AWS Trusted Advisor as D. And we'll give 10 seconds on this last one as well. And the correct answer is D on Trusted Advisor, AWS Trusted Advisor. The solution that Abhinav was actually presenting before looks at aggregating checks of Trusted Advisor from several different accounts into a single quick site dashboard, which allows you to look at security, cost, performance, all within the one view, which is for us has been great in terms of managing environments with lots of different accounts. So something that you guys might want to look into as well. Great, so apologies, I'm not 100% sure as to what was going on with the voting system, but it looks like going through again, I'm getting some of the results, and most of the people who are answering are getting them correct. So if you were, you can see here, we've got 80% on blue green, 80% on account factory. But if you guys were listing down what you got, I'm just going to do a quick poll to see what your results were. So out of 10, how many did you get? Were they quite easy? I'll give it another 10 seconds. Great. So a bit of a mix. So obviously some people who definitely know what they're doing. 75% of the group has got an 80% plus, which would certainly be considered a pass mark in the AWS exam. I think from memory is at 75% on the solution architect associate. I'm probably looking at you guys on the panelist team.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So there's lots of different material if you guys are looking to get certified, and we're happy to point you in the right direction of some of the courses that we've found have been best. So as I mentioned at the start of the meeting, we're going to be looking at collaborating with AWS to do a jam session, which will allow you to try to implement some of those things we were talking about there in a practical sense, rather than just answering some questions. So stay tuned, and we'll send some more information over the next coming weeks about what that might look like. So I'll just quickly go back to screen sharing. Again, we'd definitely love your feedback on today's session, or if you guys have any presentations or sponsorship that you want to suggest. And we'll be posting the videos and the slide decks as well at the end of the meeting. So we'll post a link in the Meetup channel so that you can follow that and download them at your own viewing. Great. So thanks everyone for joining today. I hope you got some good information, and you can go to the AWS Summit page as well if you want to go and look at some of these presentations in more detail. So I think I'll post a link as well in the follow-up email to the AWS Summit so that you guys can go and have a look for yourselves. So thanks everyone for joining. Hope you have a wonderful afternoon.